Can you all hear me? It's a little confusing with the mic. Today's been an awesome day for me. It's awesome being here at the conference, but I actually had a unique phone call about 10 minutes before stepping up here. I wasn't planning on sharing this, but it's pretty exciting. I don't know how many of you in the audience have pets. My family has 2 dogs, 2 Bernese mountain dogs, about 150 pounds apiece. My wife treats them as if they are family, obviously, as do I, but sometimes I wonder if she likes them more than she likes me, but that's just how it goes. She does, I know, it's true. So a couple of weeks ago, so sad story to start, a couple of weeks ago, one of our Bernese mountain dogs, who if you've ever interacted with them, they're huge, so they are obsessed with eating their dog food, that's never a problem, slowed down on eating and wasn't acting normal, so we took her into the vet. We've done this many, many times. They're expensive at this point. And they did x-rays and everything to check out what was going on. Turns out there was a softball-sized tumor on her spleen, on our dog's spleen. So that was scary, obviously. So they immediately, like I said, my wife really loves these dogs, so there's no cap on what she's going to do to fix this problem. So they immediately operated on her, Millie's her name, took out her spleen, and basically what the doctor had told us is there's about a 20% chance that it's not cancerous, 80% chance it is. And if it is cancerous, then we'll get, 6 months to a year of happy life before she passes away. So that was alarming. She's 6 years old. 6 is relatively old for a Bernese mountain dog, but not. She could still get a few more years out of her. So my wife was pretty shook up, as was I, but she took it pretty hard. 2 weeks have passed now. They sent the tumor in to figure out what was going on, and I got a call literally right before I came up. I went and answered it. I knew I had to answer it, and I thought, oh crap. This is gonna be the bad news, which I'll handle okay, but do I tell my wife? Do I wait? The vet actually called and said that it is benign. It's not cancerous, so awesome news. That really made the day a lot better here. So I called my wife, obviously, immediately because she could learn that. I was worried if it was the other way around, then this would be much more stressful presenting today. So nothing can really turn that around now. We're happy today, so. She's pretty excited about that. So back to the topic at hand. About myself, Casey Smith, head of operations at Graphite. Under my purview is the CX organizations, so customer success, implementations, support, those departments. To kind of set the stage here about the topic I picked, which is operationalizing CX beyond implementation, I want to talk a little bit about kind of my history at Graphite, where I work today. I've been there for about 3 years now, and when I started, my first job as head of operations was to go from organization to organization within the business, different departments, and try to improve efficiency within those departments. We were getting ready to raise a Series A as a startup, and we knew that if we could increase gross margin, then we would be more attractive to investors. So first step was to go talk to implementations. So I moved over to implementations and started working with those teams. And we made a bunch of improvements. One of those improvements we made was signing a contract with Rocket Lane and going from basically a blank page every time we implemented to some sort of structure. At that stage of the company, when you're that small, I'm sure many of you have experienced this, your implementation managers many times are product experts because they've been there since the beginning. And sometimes that can actually cause problems. They know too much and they implement complex builds for our customers that then impacts customer success down the line and everybody else. So naturally, and just to give a little bit of insight into our process, our product is extremely configurable. So implementations can take, 3 months to 2 years, just depending on what we're implementing and what we're building. It felt natural that the next step in my process at Graphite was to go over to the customer success team and work with them as well. Try to figure out how we could optimize process, make everything work better. And as I got there, the first step was what products should we implement to try to improve this process? We didn't have anything. Just like implementations, customer success was this blank page. So what we did is I started exploring all the solutions we could implement. What could we use to manage our kind of CX organization? What should we do? And I had this aha moment, our whole organization really did, that we just spent with these customers we sign contracts with, we just spent the last several quarters at least getting them familiarized with Rocket Lane. They're in the product, they're working in it, they're communicating with our teams inside of Rocket Lane. And I thought to myself, we could go implement some sort of CX tool, but that's gonna be quite the headache to go convince our customers that they just experienced Rocket Lane for a year, potentially, and now we're gonna teach them a new tool in order to manage this relationship. And there's probably many of you here, considering what the conference is about, that are much more focused on the implementation side, maybe less on the post-GoLive interactions, but we all work closely with those departments. We're handing off projects to those teams. So that's what I'm gonna talk about a little bit here is what we realized in that moment is, can we build our Rocket Lane instance to satisfy the needs of ongoing customer relationships? And that's what we set out to do. What we're gonna talk about today is exactly what I just described. Why post-GoLive matters more than you think. What was the challenge we were facing? Scaling CX for enterprise products. What was the change we made? This was really pivotal for us, is treating CX like product sprints. And the system, I already spilled the beans here, but Rocket Lane is what we used. And then the results. What changed for our customers, and what are some things that your teams or those you work with could implement to benefit from this as well? It ends up being really smooth. So to set the stage a little bit further, most of you are probably not familiar with Graphite. So I'll explain a little bit about what we do, because I think it helps explain why we decided to go down this path we did. Graphite's a supplier onboarding and data management application built on a network architecture, and that part's really important, the network architecture behind it. Quickly, is there anyone in here, I know most of us are in the PS organizations, that have worked in the sales organizations where you sell your product to somebody, they sign the contract, and then you have to go through the actual onboarding process of onboarding to be a vendor for that customer you just signed. Has anybody experienced this? With small customers, it's less robust, but with large enterprises, multi-billion-dollar organizations, this is quite the process. It's horrible, actually. You may have to answer hundreds of questions. It could be thousands of questions. Info security, data privacy, tax, banking, all this information. The painful part about this process is, let's say we'll use Rocket Lane as our example, as a business. They're crushing their quarter and they go sign a deal with a multi-billion-dollar organization, some huge customer. And they go answer all these questions. Could take, in some cases, it takes months to get all that information approved to where you can actually do business. And then coincidentally, they're still doing well, so tomorrow they sign another deal with another large enterprise. And they end up answering basically the exact same questions they did before. Feels like deja vu right here. You're just answering them again. It may even be inside the same portal they used the time before. It seems silly. So what Graphite's built, what we're doing, is building the LinkedIn of businesses. Another way to explain this is, when any of us switch jobs, we all are on LinkedIn. We don't email all of our LinkedIn connections and say, hey guys, update LinkedIn on your side so you can see that I changed jobs. But that's basically what businesses do today when they onboard with a new customer. So what Graphite does is, one of these large enterprises, let's take Adobe for example, they're one of our customers. They invite Rocket Lane to be a vendor, they've signed a contract, Rocket Lane fills out all of their information. Rocket Lane owns this Graphite profile, it's their LinkedIn profile basically. So then tomorrow when they go sign a deal with Intel, they're one of our customers, all that information they answered for Adobe passes to Intel, and now they onboard in minutes instead of what can be months many times. That's our process. The point behind explaining that is businesses that want our product are really large enterprises, Fortune 500 businesses. They have a robust procurement department that does all of this stuff. They're not doing this via PDFs or forms anymore. They're using some sort of portal. And because of the product we have, it's extremely configurable. I even skipped the entire slide about what we do, but we explained it here. So it's really configurable. And that causes problems for our customer success teams post-GoLive, because implementation kind of feels like it never ends. If they want to make a change in the product, they have to talk to somebody to make that change happen. Self-serve would be awesome, but they would just end up causing some sort of disaster within the application. So why does post-GoLive matter more than you think? This is kind of the realization we had as we went throughout this process. So GoLive isn't the end, and especially what I'm speaking to right now is for highly